The stars looked different near the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Veltar pressed his three-fingered hand against the cool metal wall of his ship's bridge. His purple skin felt the vibrations from the engines below. For 20 cycles, he had led patrol missions in this quiet part of space. Nothing ever happened here. That was why the Council sent him to this boring job. Admiral, called his sensor officer, a young hegemony male with bright orange markings on his neck. I am reading something strange. Veltar walked to the sensor station. His long legs moved quickly across the smooth floor. The screen showed dots of light representing stars and planets. But there was something else. Something big. What is that? Veltar asked, pointing at a massive red dot on the screen. Unknown contact, sir. Very large, much larger than anything in our database. Veltar felt his stomach drop. In all his years of service, he had never seen a ship signature that big. The energy readings made no sense. Whatever this thing was, it was nearly 15 kilometers long. That was bigger than their largest space stations. Are you sure the sensors are working correctly? I checked 3 times, Admiral. The readings are correct. Veltar looked at the display again. The massive object was moving slowly through space near the 4th planet. It seemed to be scanning the area, just like his own patrol fleet was doing. But who could build something so huge? Far away from Veltar's ship, Captain Taehyun sat in his command chair aboard the human vessel Iron Mountain. The bridge was wide and spacious, with screens showing the beautiful view of space around them. Taehyun was a tall man with kind eyes and short black hair. He had been captain of this ship for 5 years. Captain, said Commander Hyunwoo from his station nearby, we have multiple contacts approaching our position. Taehyun turned to look at his second-in-command. Hyunwoo was younger but very smart. He always stayed calm during difficult situations. How many ships? 12 vessels, sir. They are small but moving in a military formation. Taehyun nodded. This was what they had been hoping for. The Iron Mountain was on a deep space exploration mission. They had been traveling for 8 months, looking for signs of intelligent life. Now it seemed they had found some. So-min, what can you tell me about these ships? Taehyun asked his tactical officer. So-min was a woman with sharp eyes and quick hands. She worked at her console, reading the information that flowed across her screens. The ships are advanced, Captain. They use energy systems we have never seen before. But they are very small. Each one is only about 200 meters long. Taehyun smiled. Our first contact with alien life. This is a historic moment. The Iron Mountain was indeed massive. It stretched 15 kilometers from front to back. The ship had been built for long journeys into deep space. It carried everything needed for a crew of 8,000 people to live for many years. There were farms, factories, homes, schools, and hospitals inside the huge vessel. The ship looked like a floating city. Its metal hull was thick enough to protect against radiation and space debris. Powerful engines pushed it through the darkness between stars. Most humans thought it was beautiful, but they had never seen it from the outside with alien eyes. Captain, said Sung-ho from the communication station, should I send a greeting message? Yes, but use the peaceful first contact protocols. Send mathematical sequences first, then basic pictures showing friendship. Sung-ho nodded and began working at his station. He was good with languages and had studied many ways to communicate with unknown species. On Admiral Veltar's ship, the communications officer suddenly looked up with fear in his large eyes. Admiral, the massive object is sending signals directly at us. What kind of signals? Very powerful broadcasts on multiple frequencies. The energy output is incredible. Veltar felt his heart beating faster. A ship that large sending powerful signals could only mean one thing. This was a warship, and it was trying to intimidate them. Sir, called another officer, the massive vessel is powering up some kind of energy field around itself. Veltar ran to the tactical station. On the screen, he could see energy readings that made his blood run cold. The unknown ship was generating more power than his entire fleet combined. What Veltar did not know was that the Iron Mountain was simply following safety procedures. When meeting unknown contacts, human ships automatically raised their defensive. Shields. This was normal and safe practice. The energy field was not a weapon. It was protection against accidents or attacks. Captain Tae-hyun watched his crew work efficiently around him. The bridge was busy but calm. Everyone knew their job, and did it well. "Defensive screens are active, Captain," reported Ji-hun from the defense station. "Good. Ye-jin, move us to a safe distance. Nothing threatening, just standard first contact positioning." Ye-jin, the navigation officer, was a young woman who understood space movement better than anyone on the ship. She made small adjustments to their course. "Moving to position, Captain. We will be 10,000 kilometers from the alien fleet." But what the humans saw as a safe distance looked very different to the aliens. Admiral Veltar watched in horror as the massive ship moved closer to his fleet. 10,000 kilometers was nothing to a vessel that size. It could cross that distance in minutes if it wanted to attack. "Admiral," shouted his tactical officer. "Their energy output just increased again. Their defensive systems are more powerful than our main weapons." Veltar looked at the readings. This was impossible. No one in the galaxy had technology this advanced. The Council's greatest ships were only 3 kilometers long. This monster was 5 times larger and clearly much more powerful. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked his second-in-command. Veltar thought quickly. His patrol fleet had 12 ships, but they were small and designed for policing, not war. Against something like this massive vessel, they would be helpless. He had to think about his crew and their safety. "Send an emergency message to the Council. Tell them we have encountered an unknown super dreadnought of unprecedented size and power. Request immediate backup." "Yes, sir. All ships, retreat to a safe distance. Do not make any aggressive moves. If that thing decides to attack us, we cannot fight it." Captain Tae-hyun frowned as he watched the alien ships move away. "They are backing off, Captain," reported Somin. "Maybe they are just being careful. This is their first time seeing us too." Dong-min, the chief engineer, called from his station. "Captain, our standard scanning systems might be interfering with their communications. The power output from our sensors is much higher than normal because of our ship's size." "Can you reduce the power?" "I can try, but our minimum scanning power might still be too strong for their systems." Tae-hyun nodded. "Do what you can. We want to be friendly, not intimidating." But the damage was already done. Admiral Veltar's emergency message was already speeding through space toward the Council's main headquarters. Soon the greatest powers in the galaxy would know about humanity's massive warship. The Iron Mountain continued its slow movement through space, completely unaware that they had just caused the biggest military alert in galactic history. Admiral Veltar watched the massive ship through his viewing screen. It looked like a metal mountain floating in space. Its surface was covered with what looked like weapon ports and sensor arrays. Of course, these were actually windows, docking bays, and communication dishes. But to alien eyes, they looked like the weapons of a ship built for destroying planets. "How long until Council reinforcements arrive?" Veltar asked. "At least 6 days, sir. We are very far from the main fleet bases." 6 days, Veltar repeated quietly. "We have to watch this monster for 6 days and hope it does not decide to destroy us." He did not know that on the Iron Mountain, Captain Tae-hyun was having similar worries. The human captain was concerned that the aliens might think his ship was dangerous. He wanted to show them that humans came in peace. Neither side understood that they were both afraid of the same thing. A terrible misunderstanding was beginning, and it would soon shake the entire galaxy. 3 days had passed since Admiral Veltar first spotted the massive human ship. His fleet remained at a safe distance, watching and waiting. The alien admiral had not slept well. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that enormous vessel floating in space like a metal moon. "Admiral," called his communications officer, "we are receiving a priority message from the Council." Veltar walked quickly to the communication station. The message was from High Counselor Thexara herself. Her image appeared on the screen, showing her worried face and the golden robes of her office. "Admiral Veltar, your report has caused great concern among all Council members. A ship of the size you describe should be impossible to build. Are you certain of your measurements?" "Yes, High Counselor. I have checked the readings many times. The vessel is approximately 15 kilometers in length and shows energy output beyond anything in our databases. The High Counselor's expression grew more serious. We are sending Fleet Admiral Kethris with a battle group. They will arrive in 3 days. Until then, do not engage the unknown vessel. Observe and report only. Understood, High Counselor. The message ended, leaving Veltar alone with his thoughts. Fleet Admiral Kethris was the Council's best military commander. If they were sending him, then the Council was very worried indeed. Meanwhile, on the Iron Mountain, Captain Taehyun was having his own problems. His communications officer, Sung Ho, had been trying for 3 days to establish proper contact with the alien fleet. Captain, I think I know why we are having trouble communicating. Sung Ho said, looking up from his station. Tell me. Our transmitter power is much stronger than theirs. When we send messages, we might be overloading their communication systems. It would be like shouting so loud that you damage someone's hearing. Taehyun rubbed his forehead. Can we reduce our transmission power? I have been trying, but even our lowest power setting might be too strong for them. Bo Young, the science officer, looked up from her workstation. She was a woman with curious eyes who loved solving puzzles. Captain, I have been studying their ship designs from our scans. Their technology is very advanced, but they build everything, much smaller than we do. Their largest ship is only about 200 meters long. Why would they build ships so small? Maybe they never needed to build larger ships. We built the Iron Mountain for long journeys between stars. We need space, for thousands of people and supplies for many years. Maybe these aliens never had to travel such long distances. Taehyun nodded. This made sense. Different species would develop different solutions based on their needs. Chief Engineer Dong Min called from his station. Captain, we have another problem. Our standard defensive shields are causing interference with their sensor systems. Every time we run a diagnostic check, their ships seem to have power fluctuations. What do you mean? Our shield generators produce a lot of energy. When that energy hits their ships, it interferes with their electrical systems. We are not trying to hurt them, but our ship is so much larger that our normal operations affect them. Taehyun felt frustrated. Everything they did seemed to make the situation worse. They were trying to be peaceful, but their ship was so big and powerful that even normal operations looked threatening to the aliens. Sir, said Min Jun, the cultural specialist. He was a thin man who spent most of his time studying different ways of thinking and living. I have been analyzing their movement patterns and communication attempts. What have you learned? They are afraid of us. Their ships stay far away and they send very short messages. In many cultures, this behavior means they see us as a threat. But we have done nothing threatening. To us, no. But imagine you are walking in a forest and you see a bear. The bear might be peaceful, but you would still be afraid because it is so much larger and stronger than you. Taehyun understood. The Iron Mountain was like a bear to these aliens. Even if it was peaceful, its size made it scary. Several star systems away, the Council's emergency session was in full progress. Representatives from 12 different species sat around a circular table in the great meeting hall. The room was filled with the sounds of different languages being translated by computer systems. High Counselor Thexara stood at the center of the circle. Her voice was calm, but everyone could see the worry in her eyes. Admiral Veltar's report describes a vessel larger than anything we have ever seen. If this ship represents the military capability of an unknown species, we may be facing the greatest threat in galactic history. Counselor Rifta of the aquatic depth species raised one of his 4 arms. Perhaps this is just one ship. An experiment or special project. That is what we all hope, replied the High Counselor. But we must prepare for the possibility that this species has many such ships. Counselor Harmony of the crystalline resonance. Species made a sound like chiming bells. Her translated words appeared on screens around the room. The energy readings suggest technology far beyond our current capabilities. If they wanted to attack us, we might not be able to stop them. The poor room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. If this unknown species had hostile intentions, the Council might not survive. Back on the Iron Mountain, Captain Taehyun called a meeting of his senior officers. They gathered in the conference room next to the bridge. The room had large windows, showing the stars outside and the distant alien fleet. "We need to find a way to communicate with these beings," Taehyun said. "So far, everything we have tried has failed or made them more afraid." Yejin, the navigation officer, spoke first. "Maybe we should move farther away. Give them more space, so they feel safer." "Good idea, but we also need to show them we want to talk," said Sung-ho. Young-soo, the intelligence officer, had been quiet during the meeting. He was a man who liked to think carefully before speaking. "Captain, I have been watching their fleet movements. They are not exploring or traveling. They are watching us. This suggests they are waiting for something." "Waiting for what?" "Reinforcements, probably. They sent messages 3 days ago. If they called for help, more ships should arrive soon." Taehyun felt a cold feeling in his stomach. If more alien ships arrived and they were all afraid of the Iron Mountain, the situation could become very dangerous. "How many ships do you think they might bring?" "Unknown, sir. But if they think we are a threat, they will bring as many as they can." Hyeowon, the youngest officer on the ship, raised her hand nervously. She was new to deep space missions and still learning her job as a backup communications officer. "Captain, what if we sent them pictures of our crew? Show them that we are people, not monsters?" The senior officers looked at each other. It was a simple idea, but sometimes simple ideas worked best. "That might help," said Bo Young. "If they see that we are living beings with families and emotions, they might be less afraid." Sung-ho nodded. "I can prepare a cultural package. Pictures of humans doing normal things, playing, eating, learning, working together." "Do it," ordered Taehyun. "But be very careful with the transmission power. We do not want to damage their systems." As the meeting ended, none of the humans knew that their simple communication attempts were being seen very differently by the aliens. Every message the Iron Mountain sent was analyzed by alien experts who were looking for threats and weapons data. Admiral Veltar received each human transmission with growing fear. The messages contained strange symbols and images that his people could not understand. To him, they looked like coded military instructions or technical specifications for weapons. "Admiral," said his intelligence officer, "the massive ship has increased its signal output again. The new transmissions are even more complex than before. What do you think they are trying to tell us?" "Unknown, sir. But the complexity suggests advanced computer systems. Perhaps they are sending technical data to other ships in their fleet." Veltar felt his fear grow stronger. If this massive ship was just one part of a larger fleet, then his people were in even more danger than he had thought. "Any sign of other, unknown contacts?" "Not yet, sir, but if they are as large as this one, we might not detect them until they are very close." The misunderstanding was growing worse with each passing hour. The humans were trying to show friendship, but the aliens saw every attempt as proof of superior technology and hidden threats. Soon, Fleet Admiral Kethris would arrive with the largest battle fleet in Council history, and Captain Taehyun would face a choice that could determine the fate of both species. Fleet Admiral Kethris stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Harmony. Around him, the largest military force in galactic history was preparing for battle. 3,000 ships from 12 different species moved through space in perfect formation. The fleet stretched for hundreds of kilometers in every direction. Kethris was an old warrior from the energy-based flux species. His body looked like moving light contained in a transparent shell. He had fought in many battles during his long career, but he had never faced anything like this. "Admiral," called his tactical officer, "we will reach the contact zone in 6 hours." Went good. "Have all ship commanders reviewed the engagement protocols?" "Yes, sir. All captains understand that this unknown vessel represents a potential extinction-level threat to Council civilization." Kethris nodded. He did not like thinking about war, but sometimes it was necessary. If this massive ship belonged to a species that wanted to conquer the galaxy, then the Council had to act first. The reports from Admiral Veltar were frightening. A ship 15 kilometers long with energy output beyond measurement. Technology that could overload Council systems just by scanning them. This was not just a warship. This was a weapon designed to destroy entire fleets. "Sir," said his communications officer, We are receiving updated reports from Admiral Veltar's patrol group. Put it on the main screen. Admiral Veltar's tired face appeared on the display. The alien looked older than he had 6 days ago. Fear and stress had marked his features. Fleet Admiral, the massive vessel continues to send complex transmissions toward our position. Our experts believe these may be technical specifications or tactical data. Have they made any aggressive moves? No direct attacks, but they have increased their defensive field strength several times. Each increase produces energy readings that overload our sensors. We believe they are testing our defensive capabilities. Kethris felt his energy field flickering with anger. The unknown ship was not just watching, it was studying Council weaknesses and preparing for battle. Admiral Veltar, maintain your position but do not engage. We will handle this threat. Understood, Fleet Admiral. Good luck. The transmission ended, leaving Kethris alone with his thoughts. In 6 hours, he would face the largest ship ever built. He had brought every available vessel, but he wondered if it would be enough. On the Iron Mountain, Captain Tae-hyun was having breakfast in his quarters when Commander Hyun-woo called for an emergency meeting. Captain, we have a serious problem, Hyun-woo said as soon as Tae-hyun arrived on the bridge. What kind of problem? So-min looked up from her tactical station with worry in her eyes. Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet approaching our position. 3,000 ships, sir. Tae-hyun felt his stomach drop. 3,000 ships was more than the entire human space fleet. This was clearly a military force, and it was coming straight toward them. How long until they arrive? Approximately 6 hours, Captain. Distance from the smaller alien fleet? The large fleet is coming from the same direction. They are definitely connected. Tae-hyun sat down in his command chair. This was the situation he had feared most. The small alien fleet had called for reinforcements, and now the Iron Mountain faced an enormous military force. Sung-ho, have we received any messages from either fleet? Nothing clear, sir, but the transmissions from the small fleet have increased in frequency and urgency. I think they are coordinating with the incoming fleet. Bo-young looked up from her science station. Captain, I have been analyzing the approaching ships. They represent many different technological signatures. This is not just one species. It looks like an alliance of multiple alien races. How many different species? At least 8, possibly. More. Each group has different ship designs and energy patterns. Tae-hyun realized that this situation was much bigger than he had thought. The Iron Mountain had not just encountered one alien species. They had stumbled into contact with what appeared to be a galactic civilization. Young-soo, what is your assessment? The intelligence officer had been working quietly at his station, analyzing all available data. Sir, the pattern suggests we have triggered some kind of military alert. The small fleet was probably a patrol group. When they found us, they called for backup. Now we are facing what appears to be their main battle fleet. Do they see us as a threat? Almost certainly. Sir, from their perspective, we are a massive unknown warship that appeared in their territory without warning. Tae-hyun understood. If an alien ship the size of the Iron Mountain had appeared near Earth, humans would have reacted the same way. Min-jun, the cultural specialist, had been listening to the conversation with growing concern. Captain, this is a classic first contact, disaster scenario. Both sides are afraid, both sides are preparing for battle, and neither side understands what the other wants. What do you recommend? We need to find a way to show them we are not a military threat. But given the size of our ship and the approaching fleet, that will be very difficult. Dongmin called from the engineering station. Captain, I have an idea. What if we powered down our main systems? Reduce our energy output to minimum levels? Would that work? It might show them we are not preparing for battle. But sir, if we power down and they decide to attack, we will not be able to defend ourselves quickly. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood the choice they faced. They could try to appear peaceful and risk being helpless if the aliens attacked, or they could keep their systems ready and risk looking more threatening. How long do we have to decide? Tae-hyun asked. 4 hours until the fleet arrives in weapons range, So-min replied. Captain, said Haiwan from her communication station, Maybe we should try sending them a message about our families. Show them pictures of human children and homes. If they see that we care about the same things they do, maybe they will understand we do not want to fight. It was another simple idea from the young officer. Tai-hyun was beginning to think that simple ideas might be their best hope. Sung-ho, prepare a new cultural package. Include images of human families, peaceful activities, and everyday life. But first, send a message using mathematical concepts. Try to establish that we can think and reason. Yes, sir. While the humans prepared their peaceful messages, Fleet Admiral Kethris was planning for war. His tactical staff had spent hours analyzing Admiral Veltar's reports and preparing attack strategies. Admiral, said his fleet coordinator, all battle groups are in position. We have the unknown vessel surrounded on all sides. Weapon systems? All ships report ready for combat. The concentrated firepower of this fleet should be sufficient to penetrate any defensive system. Kethris was not so sure. The reports described defensive screens that could overload council sensors just by existing. What kind of weapons would such a ship carry? Communications, send a message to the unknown vessel. Standard surrender demand, give them one chance to leave peacefully. Yes, sir. The message was sent using the strongest transmitters in the fleet. It traveled across space toward the Iron Mountain, carrying the ultimatum that would determine the fate of both civilizations. On the Iron Mountain, Sung-ho detected the incoming transmission immediately. Captain, we are receiving a message from the approaching fleet. It is very powerful and on multiple frequencies. Can you translate it? Working on it, sir. The message is, Sir, this appears to be some kind of demand or ultimatum. Tae-hyun felt the situation slipping away from them. An ultimatum meant the aliens were prepared to fight. What exactly does it say? The translation is not perfect, but it seems to be demanding that we leave this area immediately or face the consequences. They want us to leave? Yes, sir, and the tone suggests they are prepared to use force if we refuse. Tae-hyun looked around his bridge. His crew was professional and calm, but he could see the tension in their faces. They were deep space explorers, not warriors. The Iron Mountain was built for discovery, not battle. Captain, said Ji-hoon from the defense station, if 3,000 ships attack us at once, can our shields hold? I do not know. Our defensive systems were designed to handle space debris and radiation, not military weapons. Sir, Young-soo said quietly, I think we need to consider the possibility that this first contact cannot be resolved peacefully. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Everything humanity had dreamed about finding intelligent life among the stars was turning into their worst nightmare. How long until they are in weapons range? Tae-hyun asked. 1 hour, sir. 1 hour to prevent a war between species. 1 hour to save both civilizations from a terrible mistake. And Captain Tae-hyun had no idea how to do it. The Iron Mountain continued its slow movement through space, unaware that its very existence had united the galaxy's greatest powers in fear. Soon, the largest battle in galactic history would begin, started by a misunderstanding that neither side knew how to stop. The Council fleet had arrived. 3,000 ships surrounded the Iron Mountain in a perfect sphere formation. Each vessel had its weapons powered and ready. Fleet Admiral Kethris stood on his bridge watching the massive human ship through his viewing screen. Final weapons check complete, reported his tactical officer. All ships report ready for combat. Kethris studied the enemy vessel. Even surrounded by 3,000 ships, it looked dangerous. Its dark metal hull reflected the light from nearby. Stars. Strange markings covered its surface. Markings that could be weapons, sensors, or things beyond Council understanding. Communications? Send the final surrender demand. Yes, sir. The message traveled across space to the Iron Mountain. It was simple and clear. Surrender now or be destroyed. On the human ship, Captain Tae-hyun received the ultimatum with a heavy heart. He had tried everything he could think of to show peaceful intentions. Mathematical messages, cultural exchanges, even pictures of human children. Nothing had worked. Captain, said Sung-ho from communications, they are demanding immediate surrender. If we do not comply, they will open fire. How long do we have? The message gives us 10 minutes to respond. Taehyun looked around his bridge. His crew was ready to follow his orders, whatever they might be. But what orders could he give? If they surrendered, the aliens might imprison or kill everyone on board. If they refused, 3,000 ships would attack them. "Captain," said Somin from Tactical, "I am reading massive energy buildups from the alien fleet. They are preparing to fire." "Defensive status?" "All systems normal, sir. Shields are at standard operational levels." Ji-hoon looked up from his defense station. "Sir, should I raise shields to maximum power?" "No. If we increase our defensive output, they might take it as a hostile act. But Taehyun did not know that his standard operational levels were far beyond anything the Council had ever seen. The Iron Mountain's normal shields produced more energy than most alien ships could generate with their main engines. "Time remaining? 5 minutes, Captain." Taehyun made his decision. "Send a response. Tell them we are a peaceful exploration vessel. We do not wish to fight, but we will not surrender to threats." Sung-ho worked quickly at his station. "Message sent, sir." Fleet Admiral Kethris received the human response with disappointment but not surprise. The unknown species was refusing to surrender. They were choosing to fight against impossible odds. "All ships prepare to fire. Target the vessel's engine sections. We want to disable it, not destroy it completely." "Yes, sir." Across the Council fleet, weapon systems powered up to full strength. Energy cannons, plasma torpedoes, and particle beams all aimed at the massive human ship. The combined firepower of 3,000 vessels was enough to destroy a small moon. "All ships report ready, Admiral." "Fire." The space around the Iron Mountain exploded with light. Thousands of energy beams and projectiles struck the human ship from every direction. The attack was so intense that it lit up the surrounding space like a new star. On the Iron Mountain's bridge, alarms began to sound. "Captain," called Ji-hoon from the defense station. "We are under attack. Damage report." Ji-hoon looked at his displays with confusion. "Sir, I am reading energy impacts all over the hull, but no damage." "What do you mean, no damage?" "The defensive screens are absorbing all incoming fire. Hull integrity is 100%. Captain Taehyun stared at his defense officer. "They fired at us with 3,000 ships and caused no damage at all?" "Yes, sir. Our shields were designed to handle cosmic radiation and space debris during long journeys. Apparently, they can also handle alien weapons." So-min looked up from her tactical station. "Captain, the alien fleet has stopped firing. I think they are as surprised as we are." On the Council flagship, Fleet Admiral Kethris could not believe what he was seeing. His fleet had fired with full power for 30 seconds, enough energy to vaporize a space station, but the massive human ship was completely undamaged. "Tactical report. Sir, our weapons had no effect. The target's defensive screens absorbed everything we threw at them. How is that possible?" "Unknown. Sir, their shield technology is far beyond anything we've ever encountered." Kethris felt fear growing in his energy field. If their strongest attack could not even scratch this ship, then how powerful were its weapons? "Admiral," called his sensor officer, "the enemy vessel is powering up some kind of weapon system." But the Iron Mountain was not powering up weapons. Captain Taehyun had ordered his engineering team to send a defensive pulse, a standard procedure, used to clear space debris from around the ship. "Dongmin, use the debris clearing system to push away any wreckage from their attack," Taehyun ordered. "Yes, sir." The chief engineer activated the system that human ships use to clear asteroid fragments and space dust. It was a simple energy pulse designed to push small objects away from the ship's hull, but what was normal for humans was devastating for the aliens. The defensive pulse traveled outward from the Iron Mountain like an invisible wave. When it reached the Council ships, their power systems overloaded instantly. Across the alien fleet, lights went out. Engines stopped working. Weapon systems shut down. Nearly half of the 3,000 ships lost power completely and began drifting helplessly in space. "Admiral!" screamed the tactical officer on Kethris's flagship. "Multiple ships reporting. Complete power failure. They cannot restart their engines." Kethris watched in horror as his mighty fleet was crippled by a single pulse from the human ship. Ships that had taken years to build were now floating dead in space. Crews were sending emergency signals, reporting that their electrical systems had been fried. How many ships affected? 1,400 vessels, sir. All of their power cores have overloaded. On the Iron Mountain, the crew was equally confused. Captain, said Dongmin from engineering. The debris-clearing pulse worked perfectly. No obstructions detected around the ship. Then why are half the alien ships sending distress signals? Asked Soman Oder. Young-Soo looked up from his intelligence station. Sir, I think our defensive pulse interfered with their electrical systems. Their technology appears to be much more sensitive than ours. You mean we accidentally disabled them? Yes, sir. What we consider a routine operation may have overloaded their power systems. Captain Tae-hyun felt sick. He had been trying to avoid a fight, but now he had crippled hundreds of alien ships without meaning to. Sulgi, he called to his medical officer. Prepare emergency medical teams. If their ships are damaged, they may have injured crew members. Yes, sir. But Fleet Admiral Kethris saw the human medical preparations very differently. His sensors showed the massive ship launching smaller vessels. To him, this looked like the enemy was sending boarding parties to capture his disabled ships. All remaining ships retreat immediately, he ordered. The enemy is launching attack craft. Sir, should we not help the disabled vessels? There is nothing we can do. If we stay, that monster will destroy us all. The remaining council ships began a desperate retreat, leaving their damaged comrades behind. They broadcast emergency messages across the galaxy, telling everyone about the terrible defeat they had suffered. Captain Tae-hyun watched the alien fleet run away and felt completely lost. Captain, said Haiwan from communications, some of the damaged alien ships are accepting our medical assistance offers, but others are telling us to stay away. Do what you can to help them. Send medical supplies and repair equipment. Yes, sir. But across the galaxy, a very different story was being told. The survivors of the Council fleet described a weapon so powerful that it could disable hundreds of ships with a single shot. They spoke of a massive warship that could ignore the combined firepower of 3,000 vessels. The story grew more frightening with each telling. Soon, every species in the galaxy would hear about humanity's terrible superweapon and the massive warship that carried it. Fleet Admiral Kethris sent his report to the Council with shaking hands. His energy field flickered with shame and terror. Hi, Counselor, the unknown species possesses military technology far beyond our capabilities. Our attack was completely ineffective, and their response disabled nearly half our fleet with a single weapon discharge. How many casualties? Surprisingly, few. The enemy weapons seemed designed to disable rather than destroy, but sir, if they had wanted to kill us all, they could have done it easily. The High Counselor's face went pale. What are your recommendations, Fleet Admiral? Immediate surrender, sir. We cannot fight this enemy. Our only hope is to negotiate for mercy. The greatest military force in galactic history had been defeated by a human ship that was only trying to clear space debris. And Captain Tae-hyun still had no idea what he had done wrong. The news of the Council fleet's defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 12 different homeworlds, billions of beings heard the same terrifying story. An unknown species had appeared with a massive warship and defeated 3,000 ships without taking any damage. In the Great Council chambers, emergency sessions ran day and night. Representatives from every member species gathered to discuss what they should do. The air was thick with fear and panic. High Counselor Thexara stood before the assembled representatives. Her golden robe seemed dimmer than usual, and her face showed the strain of sleepless nights. Fellow counselors, we face the greatest crisis in our history. Fleet Admiral Kethris reports that the unknown species possesses weapons capable of disabling our ships instantly and defensive systems that can withstand our strongest attacks. Counselor Rifta of the Depths raised one of his forearms. High Counselor, what do we know about this species' intentions? Very little. They have not attempted to conquer the disabled ships or claim territory. Their actions suggest they may be willing to negotiate. Or they are toying with us, added Counselor Harmony of the Resonance. Her crystalline body rang with nervous vibrations. Perhaps they are studying our weaknesses before launching a full invasion. The room erupted in worried discussions. Every representative had the same fear, that their civilization was about to be conquered by an enemy they could not fight. "What are our options?" asked Counselor Zeph of the aerial wind dancers. High Counselor Thexara looked around the room at the frightened faces of her colleagues. "Fleet Admiral Kethris recommends immediate surrender. He believes our only hope is to negotiate for mercy before they decide to destroy us." The word surrender hung in the air like a poison cloud. No one in the room could remember the last time the Council had even considered surrendering to anyone. "Are we certain we cannot fight them?" asked Counselor Root of the plant-based gardeners. 1,400 ships disabled by a single weapon. Discharge. Our best fleet commander retreating in terror. What more evidence do we need? Meanwhile, on the Iron Mountain, Captain Tae-hyun was dealing with his own crisis. The medical and repair teams he had sent to help the damaged alien ships were reporting strange reactions from the crews. "Captain," said Sulgi over the communication system, "the alien crews are acting very strangely. Some are grateful for our help, but others seem terrified of us. They keep asking if we are going to kill them. Why would they think we want to kill them?" "I do not know, sir. We are just providing medical aid and repair supplies." Young-soo looked up from his intelligence station. "Captain, I have been monitoring alien communications. The fleeing ships are broadcasting messages about our devastating superweapon and our invincible war machine." "Superweapon? What superweapon?" "They seem to be referring to our debris-clearing pulse, sir. They are calling it a weapon designed to disable enemy fleets." Captain Tae-hyun sat down heavily in his command chair. The misunderstanding was getting worse, not better. Everything his crew did to help was being seen as evidence of superior military technology. "Sung-ho, have we received any new messages from the alien leadership?" "Yes, sir. Multiple messages, all asking about our terms for surrender." "Terms for surrender? They want to surrender to us?" "It appears so, sir. They seem to think we are preparing to invade their territory." Bo-young looked up from her science station. "Captain, I think I understand what happened. Our ship is so much larger and more powerful than theirs that they cannot imagine we built it for peaceful purposes. But we have been trying to show them we are peaceful. Yes, but every time we try to demonstrate our capabilities, we accidentally prove how advanced our technology is. When we send messages, our transmitters are more powerful than theirs. When we raise shields, our defensive systems are stronger than their weapons. When we clear space debris, our systems overload their ships." Minjun nodded in agreement. "It is like trying to prove you are harmless while carrying a weapon that can level a city. Even if you do not intend to use it, everyone will still be afraid of you." Captain Tae-hyun rubbed his forehead. He was beginning to understand the impossible situation they were in. The Iron Mountain was so advanced compared to alien technology that peaceful gestures looked like displays of superior force. "What do we do now?" "We could try explaining the truth," suggested Hyawan. "Tell them we are explorers, not conquerors." "Do you think they would believe us?" Young-soo shook his head. "Sir, from their perspective, an exploration ship would not need to be 15 kilometers long with weapons that can disable entire fleets. They probably think that if this is just one of our exploration ships, then our actual warships must be even more powerful." The bridge fell silent as everyone realized how trapped they were. Every action they took made the situation worse. If they stayed, the aliens would see it as an occupation. If they left, the aliens might think they were going to get reinforcements. "Captain," said Dongmin from engineering, "I have an idea. What if we powered down most of our systems? Make ourselves look less threatening?" "We tried that before, it did not work." "Not partially, sir, I mean completely. Shut down everything except life support and basic communication. Show them we are not preparing for battle." It was a risky idea. If the aliens decided to attack while the Iron Mountain was defenseless, the human crew would be helpless. How long would it take to restart our systems if we needed them? "About 6 hours for full power, sir. And if the aliens attack during those 6 hours, we would be completely vulnerable." Captain Tae-hyun thought about his crew of 8,000. People. They had families back on Earth who were counting on them to return safely. But they also had a responsibility to prevent a war that could destroy both civilizations. Do it, he decided. Power down everything except life support and communications. Yes, sir. Across the ship, systems began shutting down one by one. The massive engines went quiet. The powerful shields faded away. The Iron Mountain became just a metal shell floating in space. Within hours, alien sensors detected the change. Admiral Veltar, still watching from his patrol ships, reported the development to the Council immediately. High Counselor, the massive enemy vessel has shut down most of its systems. Energy output has dropped to minimal levels. Is this some kind of trap? Unknown, but they appear to be genuinely powering down. They are now vulnerable to attack. High Counselor Thexara felt a spark of hope. Are they preparing to surrender? It seems possible, High Counselor. But Captain Taehyun was not preparing to surrender. He was preparing to send the most important message in human history. With most of his ship systems offline, he could finally communicate without overwhelming alien receivers. Sung-ho, prepare. A detailed message. Include everything about our species, our intentions, and our technology. Make it clear that we are explorers, not conquerors. Yes, sir. The message was simple and honest. It explained that humans had built large ships because they traveled between distant stars. It showed that their powerful technology was needed for long journeys through dangerous space. It included pictures of human families, cities, and peaceful activities. Most importantly, it included a complete technical explanation of what had happened during the battle. The superweapon was just a system for clearing space debris. The invincible defenses were just protection against cosmic radiation. When the message reached the Council, experts spent days analyzing every word and image. Slowly, they began to understand the truth. The massive ship was not a weapon of war. It was a home for thousands of people on a journey to the stars. They are nomads, Counselor Rifta said with wonder. Their ships are not warships. They are traveling cities. But their technology is still far beyond ours, pointed out Counselor Harmony. Yes, but they have no intention of using it against us. Look at these images. They have children on board, families, schools. This is not a military vessel. High Counselor Thexara studied the human message for the 10th time. The truth was almost harder to believe than the original fear. An entire species that built ships like floating cities and traveled between the stars as easily as the Council traveled between planets. Send a response, she ordered. Tell them we understand the misunderstanding. Ask if they would be willing to meet for formal first contact. The reply came quickly from Captain Taehyun. Yes, they would be honored to meet with representatives of the galactic community. They had come to space hoping to find friends among the stars. And so ended the greatest military crisis in galactic history. Not with battle or surrender, but with understanding. The humans slowly powered up their systems and prepared for proper first contact. The Council began planning the largest diplomatic gathering ever held, but in the bars and meeting places across the galaxy, a new legend was born. The story of the day when humanity appeared and defeated 3,000 ships without firing a shot. The tale grew with each telling until humans became known as the species so peaceful that they could end wars just by existing. Captain Taehyun never did understand why the aliens called his exploration ship a Colossus-Class Warship. But he was happy that the misunderstanding had ended without anyone being hurt. On Earth, when news of the first contact finally arrived, people celebrated in the streets. Humanity was no longer alone.